The Sound Below, Part 1, The Basement Door. Some doors should never be opened, even if they scream for it. They say you can get used to any sound, traffic, sirens, the hum of an old fridge. But what if the sound is alive? What if it listens back? I never believed in hauntings. Ghost stories were just that, stories. I always preferred logic, science, rational explanations. That was until I moved into the old Dandridge house on the edge of St. Hollow, a quiet little town that seemed frozen in the past. Cheap rent, lots of space, and no visible damage. I thought I had found a steal. My only warning came from the landlord, a frail man in his 70s. "Don't mess with the basement door," he said, handing me the keys. "If you hear anything, leave it alone. It always stops eventually." I thought he was joking. Some kind of rural superstition. I smiled, nodded, and promptly forgot all about it. The first week was uneventful. Just me, some half-unpacked boxes, and the creaking of old wooden floors. The house groaned at night. But all old houses do that, right? Still, I couldn't help but notice how the air changed near the basement door. It was at the end of a narrow hallway, painted the same off-white as the rest of the house, but colder somehow. Heavier. Then one night I heard it. It was just past 2 a.m. I had been watching a movie when I heard a faint noise coming from the hallway. I paused the TV and listened. At first, nothing. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks, coming from behind the basement door. I froze. No wind, no pipes. This was deliberate, rhythmic. I got up, approached the door cautiously, and pressed my ear against it. Silence. Then, as I began to step away, scratch, long, deep. Like nails dragging across wood. I backed away, heart thudding. I waited, half expecting something to break through. But after a few minutes, it stopped. I went back to bed convincing myself it was just an animal. Maybe raccoons in the crawl space. But it came back the next night. And the next. Sometimes it knocked, sometimes it scratched. Once I heard breathing. I tried calling the landlord, but his number was disconnected. I asked a neighbor about him, and she simply shook her head and said, "He moved away after the incident." When I asked what she meant, she mumbled something about a girl going missing and shut the door in my face. I decided to check the basement. The door was locked with an old-fashioned keyhole. No key in sight. I tried a few from the drawer by the kitchen, but none worked. I even tried to force it open with a screwdriver, but the metal snapped clean in half. That night, I set up my phone to record video in the hallway, aimed at the door. I needed proof, something to show, to explain. I hit record and went to bed. The next morning, I checked the footage. At 2:12 a.m., the camera began to flicker. At 2:13 a.m., the hallway light turned off by itself. At 2:14 a.m., the door handle slowly turned. But the door didn't open. And at 2:15 a.m., something whispered. So softly, it was almost missed. "Let me in." I dropped the phone. Whoever or whatever was behind that door wasn't trying to escape. It was trying to come through. The knocks became more frequent, louder. I stopped sleeping. I taped the door shut, pushed furniture in front of it. Nothing worked. 2 nights ago, I made the mistake of yelling at it. "I know you're there! Leave me alone!" The response came immediately. Bang! 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 The door shook like something massive had slammed into it from the other side. The furniture rattled, the lights flickered, and from beneath the crack at the bottom of the door, a thin, black liquid began to seep out. It smelled like rot and burned metal. I ran, slept in my car that night. Now I'm back trying to figure out what to do next. But there's something I haven't told anyone, not until now. Last night I found a key on my pillow, a rusted iron key, ice cold to the touch. And when I picked it up, the knocking stopped. Total silence. But now I hear something else, a voice calling from the basement. Not angry, not violent, just patient. "I know you can hear me." Part 02, The Sound Below, Part 2, whispers, through the floorboards. Curiosity didn't kill the cat. The door did. I didn't sleep the night I found the key. Something about it felt wrong. It was too old, too cold, and the fact that it appeared on my pillow with no sign of entry made my skin crawl. I left it on the table, hoping I could forget about it. But that night, I dreamed of the basement. In the dream, the door opened slowly, on its own. There were stairs, endless and spiraling, descending into blackness. I couldn't see what was below, but I heard it. Dozens of voices, whispering things I couldn't understand. Not words, sounds old and wet and full of teeth. When I woke up, I was standing in the hallway, in front of the basement door. The key was in my hand. The whispers didn't stop when I woke up. They followed me during the day, behind walls, beneath floorboards, inside vents. Always distant, always murmuring like they were speaking about me. I blasted music, left the TV on, even tried white noise. Nothing drowned them out. They were in my head now. I finally called someone. My old friend Rachel, a freelance paranormal researcher who mostly ran a podcast about haunted objects and urban legends. She didn't laugh when I told her about the door. "I've heard of St. Hollow," she said. "The Dandridge house used to belong to a preacher named Elias Dandridge. Rumor was he dabbled in some kind of underground sect. Said he built something beneath the house. A place to talk to the silence. No one really knows what that means." She offered to come visit. I didn't hesitate. Rachel arrived the next afternoon, all black boots and gear bags. She brought EMF meters, thermal cameras, motion sensors, the works. That night, we set up a full recording station in the hallway. Rachel stood in front of the door with a handheld recorder and whispered, "If there's someone here, make a sound." The lights flickered instantly. The recorder picked up a faint voice. "You shouldn't be here." We both froze. Rachel turned to me, visibly shaken. "It's real," she said. "This isn't just residual energy or electromagnetic weirdness. This thing is intelligent." That was when we heard the footsteps. Not from below, but from above. The attic. We crept up, flashlights in hand, each step on the old staircase groaning louder than the last. The attic was empty, except for a mirror in the far corner. Not a dusty old one, but a perfectly clean, tall, standing mirror. And written across the top, etched into the glass, were the words, "She let him out." Rachel shivered. "What the hell does that mean?" Before I could answer, the mirror rippled. Just once, like water under pressure. A quick, trembling distortion that lasted less than a second. We backed away. Rachel whispered, "This isn't just a haunting. This place is a conduit." Back downstairs, we checked the cameras. One of them had stopped recording right at 3 hours a.m. The last frame? The basement door slightly open, the black liquid returning, but now it moved against gravity, crawling upward from under the crack, as if trying to reach for the ceiling. We ran. We slept in Rachel's car parked down the street. At sunrise, we returned. The door was closed, but the key was gone. In its place, a note, not written, etched into the wood. It read, "You're invited." To be concluded in Part 3. The thing beneath the stairs. The basement has finally opened, and what lives below has been waiting a long, long time. Turn the lights down and read with someone nearby. It's not safe to be alone. Part 03. The sound below. Part 3. The thing beneath the stairs. Hell doesn't begin with fire. It begins with a door that opens when it shouldn't. We didn't speak much the next morning. There was a heaviness in the house now, a pressure behind the walls like the whole structure was breathing, waiting. But we had made a decision. We were going into the basement. Rachel and I gathered our gear, flashlights, cameras, audio recorders. She said a short prayer before approaching the door. I didn't ask what it was. Some things are better left between people and whatever gods they believe in. I turned the knob. It opened easily. No screech, no resistance, just darkness. The air that rushed out was cold and wet, like the air inside a cave or a tomb. We stepped inside. The stairs were narrow and spiraled tightly downward, cut directly into stone. They looked older than the house itself, moss-covered, cracked, ancient. The descent felt endless. Every step echoed too long, like the space below was massive. Finally, we reached the bottom. What we found wasn't a basement. It was a chamber, circular, carved into stone. The walls were lined with symbols, burned in, not painted. At the center was a stone well, dry and cracked. Around it were bones, hundreds of them, small ones, human ones. Rachel whispered, "He didn't build a basement, he built a prison." Suddenly, the whispering returned. But this time, it wasn't muffled. It was clear, surrounding us. Dozens of voices chanting the same phrase over and over. "Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!" The chamber began to shake. We turned to run, but standing in the doorway was something. Tall, thin, skin like old parchment stretched over bone. Its eyes were pitch black, and its mouth was wide, smiling, grinning with those same yellow broken teeth from my dream. It didn't speak. It laughed, the horrible, dry, mocking laugh that I had heard through the door, the laugh that had haunted me for weeks. Rachel screamed, tossing holy water toward it. It sizzled on contact, smoke rising from its skin. It shrieked, retreating momentarily, and we used the chance to bolt up the stairs. Behind us, it followed. Fast, gliding, not walking, its hands scraped the walls, leaving black scorch marks. We reached the top, slammed the door, and Rachel nailed it shut with iron spikes she'd brought just in case. We backed away, breathless. Silence, until tap, 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 the sound of fingernails on the other side of the door. We left that house, moved out that night. The landlord was never seen again. No forwarding address, no records. As if he vanished. But I still dream of the stairs. I still hear the laughter in the quiet. And sometimes, when I'm alone, the lights flicker for no reason. I don't think we locked it in. I think we let it out, and it's looking for a new home. The end. Or is it? If you made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for more chilling original horror stories. The darkness never ends. It only waits. Let us know in the comments. Would you have opened the door?